Well, I would like to wait until um, Kestrel has left,
Mm-hmm.
speaking with her mother and grandmother. And yeah, I'll return to that house and try to see if they're available to have a little chat.
Um, how? Like, do you knock on the door?
Yeah, yeah, I would. Yeah, I'm not gonna like try to sneak in or anything like that, but yeah. Are there still people
Um,
moving stuff in?
yes.
Okay. Then yeah, I would probably, I mean, I would watch for a little while just to make sure that, like, they are present and Kestrel is not. Um, and then yeah, basically the same way I did when Kess was there.
Her, um, I mean, you knock on the door frame of the open door, and it's like quite a large foyer with like a staircase leading up to the second floor. Uh, and there are like obviously probably some kind of like reception room and maybe like a study or a library on the bottom floor. Um, so you're just, standing there for a moment, looking to see if anyone will come or notice you. And you do see Kestrel's grandmother. Quite obviously her grandmother, you would recognize her mother.
Right.
And older elven woman, looking quite regal, finely dressed. Can I help you?
I was hoping to have a word with you and your daughter. It won't take long, but it's regarding your granddaughter Kestrel.
You're one of her new companions, then, I would assume.
That's correct.
Me. And she leads you upstairs to like a small sitting room.
Okay.
And it seems like, this is one of the few rooms that is like pretty much set up already.
Okay.
She bids you to take a seat, and she sits down on a small settee across from you, along with Kestrel there.
Okay.
I saw you briefly earlier with my granddaughter.
Yeah. Um, she was nervous about seeing you. She's been nervous. Maybe that's not the best word. The one that comes to mind, though.
She was always a slightly neurotic child.
Is that fair, though? Kinda went through a lot. I'm sorry, I'm not here to start an argument. I've gotten to know Kestrel over the last few months. How much do you know about her, really?
In what way?
I suppose in any. What do you think of her? I
I
ask
think she
because
was quiet and studious child who was afraid of the world, so she withdrew her books. I always thought she would grow out of it. Like many before her, she decided to run away. Now, don't get me wrong, I thought it was wonderful, just quite wonderful. I mean, I always knew she had a spine, she could walk upright, but just seeing her put it to good use was so refreshing. And you kind of see Kestrel's mom like face palming.
I don't necessarily disagree with you. I left her at your doorstep for a similar reason, because I see things beneath for her. I thought that maybe she needed to do that on her own. She asked me for my help. She wanted me to be here when she talked to you. And I thought that maybe someday she'd forgive me for what I did, but that ultimately it would be better for her. I don't know if that was the right choice, but...
Well, she wasn't crying when she left, so...
Well, that's a good thing. Why would she be crying?
I don't know. She was a very weak child.
Kind of like scratch the back of my head a little bit and like turn my chin to the side. See, that just doesn't add up at all to me. I don't know how that could be possible.
She doesn't cry with you?
She's cried. But she's also... You know, I have a lot of experience with noble people. I'm clearly not myself, but... Boy, I've killed more than a handful, and not a single one of them could be described as anything better than a coward. Kestrel is... Kestrel's everything that those of us that live beneath that status are told nobles are supposed to be, without any of the laziness, callousness. I don't think she's ever lived in an ivory tower, despite all of that study. I don't know that I've met anyone as ready and willing to sacrifice herself for her family, and she's called me and her new friends family, and if I'm being honest with you, I consider that an honor. To know somebody as good and as brave as Kestrel is. She chose death. And if it came down to it, for her, I would too. There's nothing resembling a weak child in that one.
I'm glad. I did hope her little adventure would lead to her growing up.
Well, yeah. It's led to some other things. But go on.
Was that why you came here, to defend my granddaughter?
No, not exactly. I don't presume to know more of the details than you do, and I'm sure that the side of the story I have is full of specific details that are remembered a certain way, but when she did die, when she came back out of my arms, she didn't come back the way that she left you. And as I said, I've met my share of nobles, and I've met my share of elves. And I respect your people deeply. And I know how an elven grudge works. I understand how stubborn you can be. I didn't come here to defend Kestrel. I came here to make sure that you took advantage of the opportunity that you have, because while you may be able to hold a 200-year... I don't know. Is it a grudge? I don't know if it's a grudge. You could dangle this over her head for centuries, but she doesn't have centuries anymore. You don't have the time to be stubborn about this. If you came here to build something with her, I hope that you take it seriously, because if she calls me and she calls others family, we take that very seriously. I just hope that her own mother and her grandmother would as well.
I find your defense of my granddaughter's character quite darling. I do. She looks at her daughter and she's like, Jamarin, yes. I feel like you're laboring under some kind of misunderstanding.
I may be.
I am an old woman. I have made a vast amount of mistakes in my life. Some so great that you will probably never truly comprehend it. Some of them with Kestrel. I was probably too harsh, too demanding, not round enough. That isn't a probably, I know I wasn't. But as she lost her parents, I lost a child, and we all cope in different ways. I am not angry at Kestrel. I have never been angry at Kestrel. In fact, nothing amuses me more than when Kestrel shows off her spine and stands up to me. I mean, she's not always right. Hardly ever. But she should stand up and say out loud the things that she believes in. Kestrel has been living in my shadow and in that of her parents for way too long. And it's time that she realized what it means to be a grown-up. Because I fear that she is laboring under some kind of assumption that she isn't allowed to make mistakes. That
Where
was
did she
never
get that
my
idea?
intention. I don't know.
It is a mystery.
If it's one thing I have tried to teach her, it's not to not make mistakes, but it's to own those.
Then
Look,
I hope that you will lead by example in that.
I know very well that Kestrel doesn't have an elven lifetime anymore. And I do want Kestrel to have a happy and fulfilling life in whatever time she has. So I left Singon behind to come here because Kestrel cannot be happy in Singon. And she has chosen a new life here. So I have chosen to join her in that life here most of the time.
Why?
Because she is my granddaughter and
You want her around.
I mean, I want her in my life. I want her to figure out who she is, be happy, meet someone, fall in love, have children, and I want to see those things happen.
All she wants is to be wanted. That's it.
The problem with Kestrel is you can tell her you love her and that you want her 1,000 times. But she only hears the one time to go. I'm not saying I only told her to go away once. I
I
was
understand that.
But Kestrel needed more than I could give at the point in my life after I had just lost my child. And for that, I am sorry. But she has one fatal flaw, character. Kestrel needs other people. Need help.
I think that you've described most people.
Problem is, most people won't need until you can stand on your legs. Hopefully, Kestrel has built her new life on that foundation, on her surety of self, the strongness of her convictions. I mean, she's still just a child. And her mom's like, well, it's her hundreds. And the grandmother's like, well, a teenager then. The point remains, she's still young. It's just now she doesn't have another 600 years to figure it all out.
Yeah, the process is accelerated now. A lot, yeah.
I do. It's sweet and charming, and I do hope my granddaughter knows that she has a. She does like a whatever you are kind of hand gesture.
my fiance and I, we're expecting twins.
How charming. It always amazes me how fertile you short-lived races are.
Yeah, quite a marvel, I suppose. I only mention it because my hope for my children is that even just one of them is half the person Kestrel is. If I can manage that, if I can raise half a Kestrel out of 2 children, I will be so proud of myself and of both of them. And I really hope that you're sincere, that you are proud of her, because she has earned it. And
Look, young Jamon, I'm sure Kestrel has done wonderful things with you. I hope she has had an amazing experience, and I hope she will continue to have one. The truth is, I don't really know Kestrel. She chose to spend her youth exploring the world, which is good. So I cannot say for sure how I feel about my granddaughter, because the truth is I know. But from what you're telling me, she sounds like a splendiferous person. And I hope to get to know that person. And that is why we came here. And I feel like this is one of those, like, what's it called? Shovel conversations?
I'm not sure that I track the metaphor.
Oh, it's the, if you hurt my sister, I will crush your brain with a shovel and then use it to dig your grave?
Oh, no. No, nothing like that at all. If I was gonna kill you, you'd never know it.
Oh, likewise. My point is, I have hurt Kestrel in the past. I am not blind to that. I did not intend to hurt her, and I probably will hurt her again. Because I am a crotchety old woman. And I'm fine with that. In fact, I quite enjoy it. If it's one thing living an elven lifetime has given me, it's the freedom to say whatever the fuck I want.
I respect that.
So when I see young people being stupid, I tell them, you're being stupid. That does not mean I was never a young person. That does not mean I was never stupid. That doesn't mean that I disapprove of their stupidness. I'm just stating a fact. Like the moon rises and the waves coming in, young people are going to be stupid. The important thing is that they're the fun kind of stupid.
There's wisdom in that.
That girl. She was with this bard for a while. Like, she'd probably think I doesn't know, but I was keeping an eye on her. And, I mean, he was not great. Handsome, though. Very handsome. They would have had beautiful children. Kind of hoped she would get pregnant by him, because the children would have been adorable. I mean, I would have to kill him. He was a waste of space.
But
Anyway,
you'd have had cute babies out of it, so.
Yes. And Kestrel is much better off without him. He was gone. There was this nice Alban boy too. I think he really liked her. He would come by the house all the time. I don't think Kestrel ever truly noticed. He would go by the library to get her books for her studies, and I think she believed he worked for the library.
He would just get her books.
Yes. Well, they were young. They were in like their 40s. It was basically a silly crush.
At least he knew what she liked.
He tried. He's married now. It was unfortunate. I really did think they would make a good couple. I think he ended up marrying into a librarian.
A librarian?
Mm-hmm.
And this was all in Singorn.
Yes. It was a long time.
Forgive me if I abruptly and severely change course for a moment. It's just occurred to me that you yourself are quite involved in the politics of Singorn, are you not?
I dabble. You just hear like a choked giggle snort coming from Casual's mom.
Okay. I'm wondering because there are some things happening in Whitestone that fall under some sort of vague responsibility of mine.
Such as?
Well, to tell you the truth, I don't know enough about Singorn and Whitestone and any connections between them to put the pieces of something of a puzzle together. It's something I've let sit, not really knowing anyone worth talking to.
Well, I mean, Singorn and Whitestone has quite a proud history together, dating back. Oh gosh, about 480 years? When we first started trading in the Whitestone. For our enchanters, you see. And then, that was mostly it until the incident happened.
Which incident?
Oh, you know, the dragons.
Right, that one.
I mean, that was the most ruckus it's been around these parts for the last 500 years at least. And then, well, Vexalia married the Lord Rolo, and her father was an ambassador, and her sister, such a sweet girl, she spent quite a bit of time here, and she married a baron eventually. So yes, after that, there was quite a lot of connection between Singorn and Whitestone, leading up until, well, about 5 years ago when the Lord and Lady were killed. The Lord of Whitestone being formerly one of the lesser lords of Singon, of course.
Repeat that last part, please.
The last Lord of Whitestone was a lesser Singonian noble.
Okay. Is this room private? Woman?
Yes.
And it is just...
She looks towards her daughter, and you see her do a spell that is vaguely familiar to you because you've seen Kestrel do it in the past.
Okay.
And the room is wrapped in an opaque aura, concealing you from the outside.
If I recite something to you, will you tell me if it rings anything loose? If it makes any sense to you? It's from a letter, unsigned.
I'll try.
My heart grows weary when we are apart, and I worry that others will put hurdles in the way of our love. But I know I cannot go on living this lie. I will always be grateful for my daughter, and I know she will grow up to be a fine ruler of Whitestone, but I cannot live a lie for her sake, and I know she would not want me to. There is resistance to our dissolving our marriage rights in Singorn. I knew there would be, but the vehemence is surprising. Still, I worry not. The Queen is a sensible woman, and she will let us free to love once more. Forever yours.
Now, where would someone like you get something like that?
My hands wander.
You just see like a cold smirk on her face. I'm sure they do. Well, it's nothing a bit of digging won't provide. The Lord and Lady of Whitestone were uncoupling.
The now deceased.
Yes.
Which
Now,
queen
of
do you
course.
think they're referring to?
Oh, our queen, of course. I was there for the conversation. She's right. It was quite heated. But in the end, the queen is, as she said, a sensible woman. And so she approved of the paperwork that would allow them to absolve their marriage.
Or what? Exactly, it sounds like someone else is involved here.
Oh, there are plenty of people involved. A lot of the higher level casters worried that with the dissolution of the marriage, our access to Whitestone would diminish, which was foolish, of course. I mean, some of the trade agreements have been in effect for over 400 years, and, well, it would seem foolish that a little romance would And such a profitable trade for both of us.
Impractical.
Very. Um, Elements of the boy's family were understandably upset he was being scorned. He didn't really mind, I think. It was an arranged marriage.
The boy was the one from Singorn?
Yes, the Lord of Whitestone.
Yes.
Sweet, sweet child. And to be honest, well, arranged marriages can go many ways. Sometimes you end up falling in love. Sometimes you end up as friends, and sometimes you grow to hate one another. This was. I think they were comfortable with one another, but it never became more than that. Not even true friendship, more just reasonable acquaintances. And they did have a child already, so from that point of view, the contract was fulfilled. The next ruler of Redstone will be of a Singornian bloodline. So as far as I was concerned, I didn't really see the issue with it. It's better to do these things when people are young enough to find whatever it is that they're looking for.
Hmm. Do you suppose that this letter was penned by the lady of Whitestone?
Yes.
And that would logically lead me to believe that whomever was in possession of it was the intended recipient.
Well, I would hope so. Otherwise, it would seem you're not the only one with sticky fingers roaming.
It's not impossible, but I see. Thank you. This sheds light on some things for me.
Not at all. I did do some investigating when the misfortune happened.
There's been a lot of misfortune.
Yes.
Which are
There-
you?
When there's a lot of money involved.
Right.
I am fairly sure they were assassinated.
Do you have any leads on that?
No. By the time my investigation started, most of it had already been disturbed by the local investigation. But it seemed they were both very capable horse people. And, well, apparently there were only the two of them alone in the cart, without the retinue.
Admittedly, none of what I've heard about it really makes any sense.
I tried to track down the retinue afterwards.
Any lead there?
No. I can't find them. I did have a lead on one. Sent an agent. She was dead by the time he arrived. Which leads me to believe that someone quite powerful, is covering up what actually happened that day. The thing that I don't understand is why. What was gained by killing them that the dissolution of their marriage would not allow?
Maybe it was somebody that didn't know that that was going to happen. Or maybe there is something else that we don't see.
True. I mean, the dissolution was quite an open secret in Singonian court. I mean, she did come there to make a play. And he was acquiesceable. So he came along with her. However, I don't believe it was widely known in Whitestone.
Probably
And
less well known in Wildmount.
true. So then the question becomes, who did they want to hurt? Singorn or Whitestone? And without knowing that, I really don't have anywhere to focus my attention.
Are you still interested in focusing your attention on it?
Well, I've been retired for 36 hours now. It's dreadfully boring.
So if someone came to you at some point with useful information, you wouldn't turn that down?
I mean, I do still have a few people in my employ that could look into things. Again, like a choked snort from...
Right.
They do so dilly-dally when they're idle. So yes, if someone were to come to me with a mystery, I wouldn't be opposed to it.
I'll definitely keep that in mind. Thank you, both. I don't want to take up too much more of your time.
Not at all. If you're coming for dinner tomorrow, you should bring some floor plans.
Somewhat?
Some floor plans for the house that we're building you.
It's like, not really reacting, just kind of like eyes between both of them.
Yes.
For what? We're building a house?
Yes. And you said you and your fiance were expecting children?
Yeah.
Is anyone else in your accoutrement expecting?
Not that I'm aware of.
No, because Kestrel came to us and she cried. And she wanted us to build a house for her friend who is expecting twins. So I would assume it's you. I mean, you short-lived races are awfully fertile, though.
Yeah, you mentioned.
Anyway, that's neither here nor there. You should bring some floor plans tomorrow, and then we can look at them. See what kind of...
Right. Okay. Okay, yeah, sure. Floor plans.
Well, this has been just enchanting. I look forward to meeting you and your lovely fiancé on the morning. And she
Yeah.
stands.
So I've noticed that you're still moving in. Do you need any help? I'm free for a while. I could lend a hand.
Hmm. She gives you like a toe to head, back to toes kind of look, and she's like, "That's sweet, but we did bring quite a lot of people. Stuff, you know. It wouldn't
Right.
do to make them unemployed just because we were moving." And you did notice that, yeah, like the elven population of Singorn has probably increased by like 300%.
Of Whitestone?
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
because where there used to be maybe 5, there's probably like 50 right now.
Okay. All right. Good to know. Well, I'm again very thankful, and thank you for speaking with me. And I do apologize if it came off as a how did you put it, a
No,
shovel conversation. It's
not at all. To be honest,
good.
I'm just happy that she's, well, able to inspire that kind of loyalty. Her
He
father
does.
was a general, you know?
Yeah. Um, I've heard that.
He was a sweet boy.
A good man. Yeah.
That too. Disgusting
My
habit.
as I'm kind of like, I assume at this point we're kind of like walking toward the door.
Yeah, like she's very politely throwing you the fuck out.
Yep, and I'm helping
In that
myself out.
sense that you don't really notice that she's like shepherding you towards the
Right.
door.
All right. Well, we will see you tomorrow.
So
You,
looking forward to it.
you know, my fiance Sarah. You'll meet her tomorrow. She's an extremely talented herbalist and botanist, and she's been teaching me some things. And some flowers, they just need a little more water than the others.
And some just need a little more sun.
And with that, I will smile and nod at her and make my
Roll me
way
a
away.
perception check.
I'm gonna pop my character sheet out really quick.
Yeah, it just struck me.
Well, it ain't about to strike me. Actually, okay, not that bad.
Mm. See. Huh. Can't spell.
Oh, what?
So, Roll me herbology as well.
I don't know if I made a kit for that. Is it just int with?
It's
Oh wait, I did. I had an int and a whiz.
yeah. For this, I would say int.
Okay, and no proficiency yet with it. Is it with the herbology kit or just?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'll just roll that. It's one of the better int rolls I've ever made.
Yeah, I know. So, when you were upstairs in the lounge drinking tea,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like you didn't really think about it at the time, but now that you said the words out loud, you realize that her tea smelled familiar. Like something in that you've smelled that before in Zara's basement.
In the basement.
Mm-hmm. Like Zara keeps like her, benign plants in the kitchen and the
Right.
lab, but everything that's poison is in the basement to avoid accidentally poisoning someone.
Right.
Two dried herbs can look very similar, but if one is poisonous and the other is, not, you don't want to accidentally. So you're not sure what it was because it wasn't that fucking good, but you're pretty sure she was drinking poison.
That she was drinking poison?
Mm-hmm.
Was I drinking it?
No.
What the fuck?
You're all drinking tea, but only hers had that smell.
What the fuck? How well do I remember the smell? Like, could I describe the smell?
It was, a slightly bad smell.
Like, is it earthy or like strong licorice or
like it smells like it has like a bit of, heat to it, and
okay,
like bitter smell, like sort of rips, like a little bit peppery almost.
100% first thing I'm going to Zara and trying to describe it and telling her that I remember smelling it in the basement. What was it? What could it have been in tea?
Roll me investigation check. Just it's a bit after the fact, but I'll let you do it. Let's see. Your tea was like more brownish in color.
Mm-hmm.
So was the tea that Kestrel's mom was drinking. But the tea she was drinking was slightly more like reddish. Maybe pinkish in color.
Okay.
Yep. So that's what you know.
So if I described the smell and the color to Zara and told her that I recalled smelling that in our basement, could she tell me what it was?
Let me see. Like she didn't experience this first person, so it's like
right.
pretty
Yeah,
high
it's just
AC.
yeah.
Where is my thing? Do not roll. Yep. Well, it's two things it can be, and one of them is toxic and the other one isn't.
Okay.
Ooh. It could be comfrey. Which
Or
isn't toxic. Or it could be foxglove.
and as far as like something you would put in your tea to something that would kill you in a dram, what's foxglove like?
It may interfere with the heart. It does tend to make other things more toxic.
Good to know.
Headaches, loss of appetite, vomiting. It depends on the dosage, really.
Are either of those things used medicinally to treat anything?
Well, it does interfere with the heart, so potentially, but too large of a dose, it can just stop it. Or cause a person to suffocate. It's quite potent. Eating any part of the plant can be fatal. And even if you're taking it for the medicinal effect, the difference in a dosage is minuscule. What can aid you is only a breath away from killing you. Like, I've heard of people taking it for their heart, but generally you, well, tend to use less dangerous forms of herbal remedies.
Good to know. So we'll have to just, pay close attention to the tea tomorrow. I don't really feel like getting poisoned.
the kind of poison you could use on a person over a long time. With small doses over a prolonged period of time, you might see stuff like hallucinations.
Wait a minute.
What?
There's no way that she made that tea herself. She had 50 people working for her. She's not the type of person that makes her own tea.
Sure. I mean, I would still make my own tea if I had 50 people working for me, but I know
I know
get it.
you would.
People do tend to make an awful mess out of tea.
And yours is really good.
Thank you.
Okay. Alright. Good to know. Thank you. How are you doing, by the way?
I think my feet are swelling.
Yeah. So...
No.
Hmm?
I think I'm getting fat too.
What do you
She
think
doesn't
about... No, she
really.
doesn't look it, no. It's just one of those things
Yeah.
people say, yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think about... Do you want to go back? Do you want to stay here? I mean... Where are you at with the whole everything?
Go back where?
To the Shattered Teeth?
Oh, the wonderful place where everything is trying to kill us.
Yeah, that place.
I mean... No, not really. I thought it was going to be nice, like a vacation with beaches.
Yeah.
But instead there were just a lot of things with really big teeth.
A lot of teeth. There were way more teeth than beaches, and I think that we kind of got... I'm not gonna say lied to, but we were misled, I think.
I mean, there's also the fact that when people say, oh, you want to go to that place is like super dangerous. Do you have any reason to go there? And we go like, no, maybe we shouldn't have gone there.
I mean, that's also fair.
Yeah.
So I just... Obviously, I spoke to Kestrel's mother, mostly her grandmother. We need a house plan. Apparently they're just gonna build it.
Just like that.
Mm-hmm. I have a feeling that I have a lot of things that I need to talk to Kestrel about as soon as possible, but that's a thing that I was told to be prepared with tomorrow for dinner.
We're going there for dinner.
Yeah. You don't have to if you don't want to, but you're invited. I'd like you to
if
come.
they're building us a house.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Right. You know, the issue of the, you know, these things in here, I'm gonna like pat her stomach. It's probably gonna come up is that, are we ready to tell everyone about that?
damn.
Sarah.
Idiots.
Not all of them always.
She gives you like a slightly pitying looks. I mean, they're very sweet. But they do tend to have like a very limited span of attention.
Same.
So, I mean, why worry about it before it actually happens? And the plan was to tell them after we return home from the Shattered Teeth anyway.
Yeah.
And whether they know or not, I'm still getting fat.
You aren't actually yet. Do you feel like it though?
I feel like I'm retaining water.
You look really good.
I do think my breasts are getting bigger.
I noticed that.
You're so sweet.
Yeah. It's me.
I mean, we're gonna need at least 2 bedrooms.
I was thinking 4.
Like one for each of the children as they grow older, and then one for guests.
And a spare, yeah.
I mean, it's not the worst idea. Like, how filthy rich are these people?
Like, I think they made money in the first place. Like, not like they made money, like they created the idea of it. And then made all of it.
So, if we put in a lab, do you think we go for it?
Oh, I had planned on it, and a workshop.
In like a drying room?
Yeah. And like an entire basement floor just to store all of your stuff.
There's just like this intake of breath that is like almost like she's having a small orgasm where she's sitting. She's like, okay, and she starts doodling stuff on like a napkin.
And I thought in the back we could still keep everything that we've reclaimed, including the chimney and all of that is still really usable, so we could build around that, and we could have like a back courtyard where you can grow anything back there, and a porch.
Yeah, we probably should. Well, some of the land on the
Hedges
other side of the river belongs to me as well.
on the other side of the river.
Mm-hmm. It's not a lot. There used to be a boathouse there once. It fell down years ago. And I never really needed it. So, but if we're having children, it probably would be better to grow poisons on the other side of the river, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the strong hallucinogens.
Right. Anything that we don't want kids eating.
I mean, there's want and then there's worry. I mean,
Right.
anything we should worry about children eating, I think we should put
Sure.
on the other side.
Good.
I mean, they're put in the world to experience things. Who are we to deny them experiences?
That's true. Maybe wait for the hallucinogens until after they're speaking and things. Well,
Yeah, at least the strong ones.
right. Yeah. Yeah.
Most of the weak ones, they'll have to eat like an entire plant in order to have any effect. And I think we would notice before that.
We are very observant.
Yes. Well. And it wouldn't be a problem until they like started cooking. So we'll have at least like a year.
Yeah. We'll get it figured out. I'm super tired. How about you?
Yeah. I could sleep.
Nap time?
Yeah. Sounds good.
I'll just wrap my arm around her shoulder and walk to our spot in the Grey Hunt.
As you're walking, she's just like, "You think we could get a this thing? You think we could get a that thing?"
Right, yes.
Yeah,
Making
she's
the list, yeah.
she's just a mercenary as fuck. And she's
Yes,
like,
yes.
but yeah.
Perfect.
Did you enjoy that Kestrel? Was that good for you?